are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing this morning?
Great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you have gymnastics practice this morning?
No, it's actually right after this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it like a competitive thing or is it just like casual right now?
Um, Very casual. She's changed out gymnastics for jujitsu, so.
What? Oh no.
How long? Okay.
Do you do jujitsu?
I do.
Yes, she does.
Jiu-jitsu. How long has she been training?
Oh, 2 weeks, and I took one class last week, and I was like, oof.
Are you doing jiu-jitsu too?
I think in a couple months I might start. Yeah, I want to let her get into the routine of it, you know.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. Where are you training right now?
I think it's called ZR.
Cool. Is it gi and no gi?
Yep.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay, well, we'll talk more about this another time, but I love you some.
Yeah. When I come down to Florida, we'll have to roll around a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm going to hold you to that, though. If you come visit.
Oh, God.
10th Planet
Okay.
St. Pete. Let's get it.
All right.
All right, cool. So, I'm excited. Are you excited? Are you excited? Do you know what's
I'm
about to happen?
excited.
Okay.
Oh, no.
We're about to play a game. All right. It's called.
I know.
It's called That's My Jam, 90s R&B edition. Shout out to my boy Jimmy Fallon. What? Still looking for that lawsuit. So real quick, we're gonna go ahead and explain the rules. The rules are we have 2 cards each. That is 4 songs. Each card has the lyrics of the song, the name of the artist, and the name of the song. If you can guess both, points are the same. Doesn't matter. So you just need to guess one. Guess the artist or the song. Now I know, based on conversations we've had, that your 90s R&B bag is pretty deep. So
If that's what you want to call it.
so we expect you to get a perfect score.
Oh, man.
Okay. All right. So
No.
you got this. So when you're ready to guess, just say pause. You get 2 guesses and use them wisely. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Song number 1. Tiffany, go ahead.
All right. Don't leave me in all this pain. Don't leave me out in the rain. Come back and bring back my smile. Come and take these tears away. I need.
You know, I'm going to just pause because I have no idea. I was hoping that I might be able to catch the name of the song, but I don't know.
Nah, see, I do a pretty good job of like stripping the name out. Like if it's in the chorus or something, we gonna go right past that joint, straight to the hook. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
sure? You might know this one. Give it a little more time. Let it cook a little bit more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I need your arms to hold me now. These nights are so unkind. Bring back those nights when I held you beside me. Take back that sad word goodbye. Bring back the joy to my life. Don't leave me here with these tears. Come and kiss this pain away.
Go ahead and sing it.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard to catch without a beat, you know? Like.
Well, I
sometimes
can
the
tell
tune-
you won't catch it
All
with
right.
my voice. It's not going to happen.
All right, we gonna go to the next one.
All right.
All right. Shorty get down, good Lord. Baby got him open all
what
over
is it?
town.
No diggity?
Yes.
Okay, we see you next. Hey.
All right. Boy, I've been watching you like the hawk in the sky that fly, but you were my prey, my prey. Boy, I promise you, if we keep bumping heads, I know that one of these days we gon' hook it up, probably talk on the phone. But see, I don't know if that's good. I've been holding back this secret from you. I probably shouldn't tell it, but if
I don't know this
I
song.
let you know.
You can't tell nobody. I'm talking about nobody. No?
No, I don't know that one. Dang. It's okay. Look, I could be the loser of the scoreboard. I'm down with that.
Okay.
All right. Next song.
Sorry.
I'm trying. Actually, I don't actually know how
That was a Destiny's Child song, wasn't it?
Oh.
No.
No.
Dang, I was trying to play it in my head.
Here, let me see it. No, you gonna go ahead.
Go
and sing
ahead. Go ahead, girl.
it. I can't sing. I'm about to sing it. Hold on. Boy, I've been watching you like a hawk in the sky that fly, but you are my prey. No?
No, yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
not catching that.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Sorry.
either. I can't sing, so all right. That one was what, Aaliyah, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
Oh, Aaliyah. Okay.
next one. This is the last one.
All right.
All right. You got this one though. Any other day, I would call and you would say, "Baby, how's your day?" But today, it ain't the same.
Say my name?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So the one she knows, she knows. The one she don't, she really, really don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So what were the two that she didn't get?
Aaliyah, Are You That Somebody? And Tony Braxton, Unbreak My Heart.
Oh, yeah, I would not have gotten the Tony Braxton one.
That's cool. It's all good. You did good.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4. Okay. All right. She made the leaderboard. All right.
Okay.
All right. Right on. So let's get to why everyone's actually here. Let's get down to business.
Oh, I have a Mulan tattoo. I do. I can't. It's on my leg, so I'm not going to show it. But it's like this big.
Yes. Yes. I knew someone would get my reference if I threw it out there. She caught it.
Wait, can I put that on the board? Can we get that one on the board?
Can we give her a half point? 100%. 100% a half point for sure. So, all right. So, yes, this is a great way to start. All right. So, if you're new here, welcome. If you already know the vibes, welcome back. I'm Jordan, aka Jay, aka Big Steppa, aka The Chosen One, aka Ghostface Killer, aka whatever I decide next week. And I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Tiffany B. I'm excited that you're here to join us today for another episode of the Stats on Stats podcast, where we get to speak to leaders in the cyber technology IT fields. Speaking of leaders, today we have Natesha with us today. And before we get started, she's going to tell you a little bit about herself. So why don't you start?
Yeah. So my name is Natesha Harned. I currently live in North Carolina, a little bit south of Raleigh, and I'm a cybersecurity engineer and Scrum product owner.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that intro. Okay. Well, we know what we're here for. We want to hear your origin story. So we're just going to jump right into it and let you tell us about your journey into that space.
So my journey is kind of short. I've been in cyber for only about 5 years now, but I think, it really started when I was in college. I was majoring in sociology and minoring in psych, and I randomly took a programming elective. And one of the extra credit options was to go to a cybersecurity summit that my school was hosting. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take them up on that. And so it was a 2-day summit, and I went. And on the first day, there was a speaker, and she was like, yeah, we really need more people who are people, but also can talk to engineers and communicate effectively. And I was like, you know what, I might be able to do that. And cybersecurity obviously makes more money than anything sociology will kind of do. So I hopped right into that academic advisor office and changed my major the next day. And that's kind of where everything started. And I got really into cybersecurity there, and then joined my company fresh out of college. I've been super blessed to have been with them for about 4.5 years now. So short, but I'm here, and that's what's important.
Are you a people watcher?
Yeah, so I had an internship at Disney, and I would go to Epcot, get me some popcorn, just.
I was gonna say, if you started off with like sociology, I'm like, she's definitely a people watcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I dig that.
Yeah.
So like in your current role, can you at a high level kind of tell us what that looks like? What do you do on a day to day?
Yeah, so day to day, I do probably about 25% of security analyst work. So reviewing, notable events and things like that, making sure everything's good on the network side of things. And then about 50% of my day is detection crafting. So getting down into Splunk and QRadar, other tooling like that, and building detections. And then the other 25% of my day is that product ownership role, aligning with the customers' end goals and stakeholders' end goals, making sure that we're meeting all of their requirements.
That's wild. So you work as an analyst and a detection engineer, and like you're like a whole Swiss Army knife.
I got hats. Yep.
That's crazy. How do you and I'm genuinely curious, but how do you kind of stay tapped in and up to date on all of those different elements of your job?
I have a calendar. A weekly calendar. So every Monday I spend time and organize my week. And on here we got top priority, low priority, things I need to follow up on. And then maybe kind of getting too far ahead, but getting into the resource perspective, I do watch like the daily cyber threat brief. I watch that several times a week just to stay up on things. And if there's anything we need to forward along or I need to forward along to the team, that's kind of where I stick with that. And then the Scrum product owner side is, just a few webinars a year here and there.
That's tight. Okay. I'm trying to be like you when I grow up. You're a super dynamic person. Jeez.
I think being dynamic is super important,
Yeah, for sure. So coming out of college, you came straight here. You've been doing this for 5 years. What keeps you in this environment? Because clearly you have to love it if you're still doing it. So like, what keeps you happy? What about it just like inspires you?
Well, for sure, my team. I think my team culture is amazing. I've heard people don't like saying we're a family, but we're a professional sports team. And I definitely think we are. When a problem comes, we tackle it and we work together. And we're super mindful of everybody's, personal life. So that's what really keeps me moving forward when I'm struggling. From a fulfillment perspective, I love seeing my detections trigger. I'm like, ooh, I caught that. Like we did that. And then from a product owner perspective, just seeing us actually move along in the roadmap and getting that positive feedback from stakeholders is super fulfilling for me.
What are some things that you use for those detections, like researching or putting kind of information into those detections?
A lot of Google, man. I'm not even gonna lie, Google a lot. So a lot of our detections are based on customer requirements. So they want to be alerted on every time this type of behavior happens.
Mm-hmm.
So just Googling the manual for a certain tool, right? And reading through that to determine what type of logs would populate. And then obviously, like Splunk docs or QRadar docs, things like that. I'm not sure if that's kind of what you're looking for, but to be real, I just Google a lot. And that's my main resource right now.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were using some type of framework, maybe cyber kill chain, MITRE ATT&CK framework, something like that just kind of got you into certain IOCs in your...
The pyramid of pain.
So we have like a risk-based alerting framework we've built out in our SIEMs.
Mm-hmm.
And within those frameworks, with every detection, we do say, what step of the kill chain is this? What part of the MITRE attack is this? So we do put that into our detections, but it's not something that I'm referring to constantly when crafting a detection. We take our threat models and use those abuse cases to define what detections we need to make.
I went to a conference and that was one of the topics that I sat in and watched was threat modeling. And in that, I'm just like, how do we start building detections for our organization? And for me, it feels like it's such a broad scope of things to look at. And I was panicking. And when I went to the conference and asked the question, one of the guys was like, just pick one thing. Just pick one thing. If it's laptop that you want to do, just start working at your laptop and just grow from there, instead of looking at it as the entire organization and trying to use that as your threat model.
Yeah, we do that for sure. I think threat modeling can be a very robust process. Like my team's first threat model took us 6 months, and we were like, wow, this is not like this isn't sustainable. So we did a huge lessons learned and really innovated from there. And just like you said, we started taking little bites. I think our first bite was, what is our most recent compromise, right? And how do we prevent that from happening again? So that was our first bite. And then we just kind of started growing from there.
I love that. Okay, thank you.
Have you done a threat model since that conference?
Oh no, we got a new team. So they just do threat management. So that is their role now. But yeah, I was terrified with trying to bring that into the organization and say, hey, we need to start looking at building out threat models specific to our organization. So that's off my plate.
You're like, here's an idea, go give to someone else.
Yep, absolutely. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was like, I don't know what y'all talking about.
All right. Now you got a Google topic for this afternoon.
I am glad that you mentioned using Google though a lot during as a reference, because I feel like a lot of new people, especially like people who are interested in transitioning to any sort of IT, cybersecurity, technology role, they get intimidated. They're like, oh, I don't already know all this. Like, how am I going to learn all this? How am I going to transition? It's not going to happen. It's too overwhelming. So just hearing, you're a professional who's been doing this for a while say hey, I reference Google all the time. Like, I'm sure that's going to encourage a lot of people who are a little bit nervous right now. So
Yeah,
I also use Google. I abuse Google, man. Abuse
Like,
it.
can we put Googling skills on the resume? Can we do that yet?
Dude, seriously. And chat GPT prompting. That should be.
I don't use Chat GPT. I'm a little like sketched out with that stuff, I guess.
So it's not just me who was like, nah.
I saw your episode 2 where you guys talked about AI, and I was like, I want to get more involved, but I'm too scared. It's just such a like black box for me. Like, ooh, close it.
Yeah, I like at first when ChatGPT first came out and everyone's talking about it, I'm like, if I look away, it's not there. I'm gonna pretend like it's not happening. Until Terminator's outside, it's not happening. Period. Yeah, so now I feel that for sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tiffany. You got it.
No, you're fine.
So something that I actually wanted to tell you, since our sync, I've become a Jenny Blake fan. I have become a Jenny Blake fan. I was listening to the book, the audiobook version of the one that I hope that you talk a little bit about. And now my feelings are like, I'm in my feelings right now. I'm going to go talk to my therapist. Yeah, I'm going to go talk to my therapist because I'm like, I really want to identify as an impactor, but I don't think I do right now.
Yeah. And when you get like, I was the same. I was like, dang, I really thought I was something, but I'm not, and then how do I get there, But yeah, so we're saying Pivot by Jenny Blake.
Yes.
Unpaid advertisement.
Yes.
It was recommended to me by a mentor. Do we want to jump into that now, or we want to save it for later?
We'll get into it in a second, but I just wanted to put it out there that like driving here and even after getting off the call, I was like, I'm gonna go, check out this book, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like all in my feelings now. Like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? Where do I go from here? We're like driving here, and I'm just like zoned out. She has a podcast too? So yeah, that's pretty dope. But one of my questions for you is, what challenges have you faced thus far? Like, what's been a day or a time that was like super challenging and you had to like overcome that obstacle, and kind of like how did you navigate that?
Oh man, I think, and this may resonate, but like my first 6 months on the job, I went home almost every day and I was like, why did they hire me? Like, I'm not qualified, because my team, we used a lot of Splunk at the time, and they were like, oh, for the first several weeks, me and I just was thrown into analyst work, reviewing alerts, ensuring that I knew what normal was. But SPL is so scary when you don't know it. And so I would go home and I would try to do the research. I would try to figure that out. And I would just, several days, I was like, this is not for me. This is not for me. So kind of overcoming the first several months of, getting spun up on what the team is used to seeing and learning the tooling was a huge challenge for me. And then I would say, COVID, I think that's a bit cliche, but COVID is definitely something that challenged me. My daughter was like 1.5 or 2 at the time when we went to work from home and her daycare closed down. So that was super challenging, just kind of figuring out a routine with that. Just those first several months when you're like, well, shoot, maybe I didn't think I'm as cool as I thought I was, or transitioning from college to workforce was a lot.
Yeah, that's like that's a recurring theme. What is it? Imposter syndrome, right? Is that what it's called? Where people are just like, man, like, how did I get here? What am I doing? Like, all that stuff. I feel like, especially in high performing individuals, and you seem like somebody who you're just like very.
I have high expectations of myself. Yeah. I don't come to sink. I try to swim, and I felt like I was sinking those first several months.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, that seems like a pretty recurring theme. Like, I know, Tiffany, you've talked about dealing with that. Like, what are some of the things that you guys, like both of you, what are some of the things you guys sort of do to just navigate that, or you know what I mean? Like, because is it affirmations? Like, what's the vibe there? Like, how do you navigate like that imposter syndrome?
So there's 2 things. I'm always like, oh, I need a class on this. But at one of the conferences, Grace Hopper Conference here in Orlando, I went to that, and I specifically went to an imposter syndrome course. And something that I heard in there was, we don't always talk about the work we do behind the scenes And so it leaves us in a space where we feel like we don't belong because we don't know enough. And so what I do is I make it a point to just be transparent. I think that's been something that has worked for me to kind of get past that. Is the worst thing that can happen is you find out I don't know enough. So if I just tell you, like, this is my knowledge base, this is how much I know, and then I say, but I'm open and willing to learning, if you just guide me, it helps me to, I think, overcome that fear of just not knowing enough and not fitting and being an imposter. So embracing that early on kind of helps me.
I actually like completely agree with that. You know, several months in, probably like at my 2 or 3 month mark, I straight up asked my manager, why did you take a chance on me? Right? Because I was struggling. I wasn't getting the work done at the pace they thought I was. And his answer was, because for every question you got wrong in the interview, you asked what the right answer was. You wanted to know how to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And he was like, and that's when I knew that even if it took you a little bit to get the skill set, you had the drive to figure it out. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Let them know, you know, let people know where you're at. Even today, like I will tell like my coworker, I'll be like, hey, this may sound like a dumb question, but I just don't know. I just, you know, what is this normal activity? Is this the right way to craft the detection? Am I going down the right path? So transparency, 100%. And then also like dedicating time outside of work, because especially when you first get into cyber and you are feeling like less than adequate, you can bridge that gap on your own. So like I took Splunk Fundamentals 1 is free for, I think it's free for everybody. And then if you're a veteran, Splunk Fundamentals 2 is also free. You know, just using those resources that are available to you is super important.
You mentioned drive while you were talking, and that's one of those soft skills that is difficult to teach. But when you're coming to a team, like when you're trying to figure out how to get started, I think drive is really important as a soft skill to just be able to show that I'm asking you all of these questions, but I'm going to put in the work. And it makes, I feel like, me want to invest more of my time into showing you the ropes and what I know. Like I can show you what's in this written book and what's in our SOPs or TTPs, but knowing that you're going to stay an extra 20 minutes for me to show you just that knowledge that I've built over time from just getting to know the environment, it's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. If I send you an SOP and I don't hear back to you and you still get the problem wrong and never follow up on like how I can find the solution, like that's a little bit more disheartening than you being like, I'm still a bit gray on what your SOP is trying to show me. You know, I'll take that time and invest in someone who wants to get on a call.
I totally agree with that. Like I've sat on several interview panels, and two things that stuck out to me when y'all were talking, one of them being transparency, the other one being drive. Like I've seen resumes before where it'll be like, oh, this person knows, you know, Ansible, they know Terraform, they know this, right? And so you're like, ooh, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna ask some Ansible questions. And you go and ask some Ansible questions. Well, you know, I didn't actually directly interact with Ansible, but the people on my team touched it and this and this. And they're like, well, then why even, you know, say that you know it? Why not just be transparent? Just leave it off altogether. Like, yes, I know that the job rec says we want someone who has Ansible or Terraform experience, but if you don't, you don't. It's all good. Or like on the flip side of that, you know, you've got somebody, you're interviewing them and you say, hey, have you played with our product at all? Well, no. I was thinking about it though. Like, well, that right there shows me you don't have very much drive, because here you are sitting in on an interview that has been scheduled for 2 weeks and you haven't even touched the product that you're interviewing for. Like, you can't teach. Those are things you can't teach. You can't teach transparency. You can't teach people to be honest, and you can't teach people to want to learn and want to grow and want to do things. So y'all deep for real. I like that.
Well, how do you overcome imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't. Me and my therapist are working through it. There's some medicine, I guess. I take some of that. That addresses some stuff. But I'm like you guys. I'm like Tiffany. I'm like you. I'm very transparent. If I don't know anything, I'm going to say I don't know it, because I'd rather be in a position where I'm like, I don't know it so I can learn it, versus putting myself in a place where I'm pretending like I know it and I never actually learn it and never actually gain that knowledge, because that's silly. And then medication and positive affirmations.
Hey, look, I take meds too. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Some people need it, you know?
Yeah. And just taking the time to learn. I use, I lab a lot to try to fill in. If I know for sure I can identify any skills that I need to sharpen or refine, I just, I lab, try to figure it out, learn, get my hands dirty, stuff like that.
Blindly jump in.
I'm glad for this moment where we actually get to talk about it. So if there's anybody that's listening and is like, I just don't feel like I know enough, you're not the only one. Just keep working through it and talk to people. Ask them what they do to just be a hero in your field. If you're looking at somebody and they motivate you, ask them, hey, what are you doing that makes you so knowledgeable?
And like, I think it's fair to say that, I've been using Splunk for 5 years, and literally yesterday I had the hardest time doing a Splunk search. And I messaged my coworker. I was like, I've been trying to look at this stuff for an hour, and all I want to do is hide under my desk and cry, because I couldn't get the search right. I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out how to pull this and that. And, you know, so it doesn't matter what level you are, how long you've been in, like you may always struggle, and that's okay. Being transparent about it and just voicing that or venting to someone, it helps.
Awesome. Thank you.
SPL is a beast, though. It's a beast that just keeps on giving. And Splunk in general, like SPL, having that good understanding of JavaScript expression, like more power to you, sister. Respect for sure. All right. So I had a question like about that stuff actually, because you said you were like a sociology major. So what's the opposite of imposter syndrome? I'm just curious. We can
Arrogance, right? Arrogance, right?
I'm like, we can totally.
When someone acts like they're hot mess and they're not.
No, there's like a term for it because it's all part of the, what is it, the Dunning-Kruger effect? No? Am I tripping?
Oh, I don't know.
Anthony, do you know what I'm talking about?
I changed my major a year in.
Oh, okay. I was like, I think. Oh, anyways,
I think I would call that arrogance
all right.
or narcissism. I don't know.
All right, sorry. So let's shift back into it. So you've been doing this really dynamic, super cool. It almost seems like a role that any cybersecurity nerd would want, to be honest. You've been doing it for a long time. So is this where you live now, or like where do you see yourself in 10 years?
So anybody can tell you, if I've talked to you about cyber for like more than 10 minutes, I'll be straight up. I'm like, I'm going to be a CISO one day. And this is where this book comes in. So if it's too early, let me know.
Go for it.
So, I know I wanted to be a CISO, and the reason was because I wanted to have that like cultural impact. I wanted cybersecurity to be part of a company culture, and I think more companies should adapt that. So I was like, how can I do that? By being a CISO, because then I have like the power, right? But I'm at this point where I feel, I've been in my position for a long time, and I'm like, what is that next step? And what does that next step look like? And the product owner role is something that really I find like energizing and fulfilling. So I've been talking to a mentor, and he was like, you need to read this book, Pivot by Jenny Blake. So this is what it looks like in case you Google it. And I started reading that book, and like you, I was like, dang, I'm not having that impact like I thought, And part of the book is like, why is that title your end goal? And that's what that reason why is your impact, what your impact is going to be. And so I'm realizing that I don't have to be a CISO to implement cybersecurity as part of the culture. So I'm exploring other avenues. So kind of like to come back around. I don't know what the next 10 years is going to look like, because I've been so set on like, wanting to be a CISO. And now that I'm finding this book, it's kind of disrupting what I thought, my impact would look like, because I could go into like more product management and have a cyber impact that way, because the lower level you are in the product in its development stages, and you get that cybersecurity in there from the jump, it's going to benefit the company more, than it is 10 years down the road and the product gets hacked. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, no.
I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. Hopefully employed. That's my goal,
Yeah, no, that's incredible, because like even during our first conversation that we had, you were like, I'm going to be a CISO. So it is really cool to hear that, like, even, however many weeks later, it's like, it's totally changed because my, my entire perspective is shifted due to this genius
One
Jenny
book.
Blake. Yeah. That's awesome. That's incredible.
So what are some of the gaps that you saw while you were working that led you to kind of shift your mindset to helping out in a different way?
So this is kind of like how and why I jumped into being a product owner. COVID took a big hit on our team, not because my company was, laying off people, but because when everybody went remote, that means there was more opportunity. And so a lot of our leadership took that opportunity. And a couple months in, I was like trying to figure out where, we were going. I was like, what are we even supposed to be doing for people? And they're like, oh yeah, I don't know. And so I started like, meeting with stakeholders and really defining that, building out, different SLAs or SLOs. So just figuring out where the gaps are and filling them is kind of what led me into the product owner. I just like generically started growing that skill set and then formally took that on. Yeah, just realizing that that understanding the customer expectations is super important. And I think in a typical SOC setting, it's not always easy to understand who your customer is because the customer is the enterprise, right? The customer are those teams you're monitoring, but in what way do they need monitored, right? That's where the threat models come in. That's where you pull those abuse cases out and figure out how to get the data into your tooling to be able to review it. And that all needs to be coordinated by someone. And I think that's often overlooked. So I identified that part and I was like, all right, I could definitely coordinate work.
Got you. So instead of just having a scope of like, oh, these are the alerts that we have to make sure we're monitoring, you broadened that scope and started being like, okay, what are the connections that we're trying to make here? So that helped you to kind of shift to that maybe?
Yeah, I think it might be a bit different. I work in a customer focused SOC, so I don't work in the enterprise SOC. So I think that might bring a little bit more context into things, right? Some of our stakeholders felt like we weren't meeting their expectations. And when I would ask, people who've been on my team for longer, what are their expectations? Their response is, I don't know. I just know we're
Oh.
supposed to be monitoring for them. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I started attending those meetings and I started being like, send me the contract. I printed out contracts and I've highlighted every single sentence that says cybersecurity anytime it said monitoring. And then I turned that into like an SLO or SLA and started reviewing that with customers and really getting down to like, what does the contract say we have to do? And then what are your like mental expectations for us?
Yeah, no, that's totally a thing, and you see that a lot. And like, I don't mean to, I don't want to like pick on anybody because I was a government contractor as well, but like you see that a lot from people who come straight out of the military. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes, for me specifically. How about for me specifically? Coming out of the military, being used to somebody telling me exactly what to do, right? Hitting me with a task list. These are the things that you do. Okay, cool. You go do them and you're like, I did good because I did everything on this task list, never really
Hmm.
thinking outside of that. So then when you transition, me specifically, when I transitioned out and got a job, out in the world, and they're like, okay, go do these things. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm doing them. And then, I get them done. Oh, I'm doing good. Well, did you also do this or did you do this? Well, why would I do that? No one, told me to. So, yeah. So for you to actually be somebody who is an impactor, having that vision to go, okay, I mean, I know what my job is, but I also know how to make it better, how to improve this, how to do things better for the business overall, how to be more efficient, how to be more like, that's incredible. That's awesome. But yes, you're right. We talk about that all the time. But when you said that, it just brought up government contracting for me.
Gotcha. I just admire the fact that she was so early on. She started asking those questions about like, what is it that we do, and like, asking herself, how do I do more?
Hmm.
I applaud
No, I
that.
think that's important to growing your career though, right? Like I think in cybersecurity, it's very easy to plateau and be stagnant. You have to do it yourself. You have to be the one saying, how am I going to move forward? Because I think we're almost in like a polluted field now that it's been advertised so much, get into cyber, but now we're a little over polluted. So you have to be your best marketer, and you have to develop those skills on your own and ask the hard questions, ask the embarrassing questions, right? Because that's how you're going to grow as an engineer or analyst, whatever you choose to do in cyber.
Oh, I do that a lot.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. I actually have a question for both of you. So, in terms of staying competitive, right, in the industry, right? Because, like you said, a lot of people are starting to come in. What do you think is the best approach to remaining competitive? Do you feel like it's, hey, let me get really good at this one thing, or do you feel like it's, hey, let me get okay at a bunch of things? Like, what's your approach?
I am a big advocate for, jack of all, master of none. Because, in my opinion, if you play and you're confident in a bunch of different types of SIEMs or different types of NDRs, then you can put that on your resume. If company A is asking for Splunk experience and you're like, oh, I built out Splunk in XYZ, but then company B wants QRadar, you could be like, oh, I built out XYZ and QRadar too. So now that's two positions you're able to be confident in, versus if you focus and you got tunnel vision on one tooling, that's less options for you. That's my opinion though, and I know other people think a little differently. So I'm open. We're all
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, for sure. What about you?
Oh no, I agree. I'm like, I cannot learn it all. There's absolutely no way on earth I'm going to be able to learn it all. But I do try to stick my hands in something. If I hear somebody bring something up, I go, okay, I don't know what this is, but we're talking about it. So let me go ahead and write this down. I have a Notion database. It's called the Quick Capture Database. And when I hear topics or I see something that I'm interested in, but I don't know enough of, I just send me a little, I share it right to that database. And then like in my calendar, I specifically have time that I set aside to just sit down and read whatever that article was. So I just try to keep my hands in the pot and make sure that I can at least talk when I get to the table about things that are coming up. And I can't be perfect at everything, so.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel like my perspective is starting to shift because I've always been a huge advocate of like be tapped into everything as much as possible. But I think now that I'm getting old, at 30, 33, now that I'm getting older, I'm kind of like, I'm tired, boss. Like, can I just focus on one thing and try to like get good at that? So I think right now I personally, I don't want to, I'm pivoting, but I'm personally kind of like rebuilding or reshaping my perspective on what competitive advantage looks like to me or for me. But yeah, I mean, all avenues are basically valid as long as you have a job, right?
Especially today, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's scary out there.
No, for sure. It definitely is. But I'm really glad that we're talking about this because quite a bit of this conversation has been like continuous learning and needing to have that drive, having that hunger, and definitely acknowledging that this is a competitive space. I think a lot of people, like you said, they hear, ooh, cybersecurity money, but they don't necessarily recognize like, yeah, there's money, but there's also a lot of sleepless nights out here in these streets.
Right. It's sleepless and like, I don't know. Are we allowed to curse on this show?
I mean, Anthony can beep it out.
I'll beep it.
A lot of moments where you're like, oh crap, I don't actually know that. Someone will be like, hey, do you feel comfortable doing XYZ? And because you've done it at a very elementary level, you're like, heck yeah, I could do that. And then they hand you a whole project and you're like, oh man, and you just got to be able to eat that and learn from it. I want to caveat this with saying that, kind of to your point earlier, where you're like, oh, I've been in an interview with people and they'll write like Ansible down or whatever, and they don't actually do that. I think understanding what not to put on your resume is important too, because you don't want to be asked about something and then not be able to speak to it. Be confident in what you have on your resume. For me, I don't put anything that I feel where I'm still beginner. On a scale of 1 to 10, I only put it on my resume if I'm at the 4 mark.
You're mentioning like going to do the training. What are some places and some resources that you go to when you're like, oh, I need to improve in these topics?
I always go to vendor websites. So if it's a vendor I work for, a lot of times or not work for, but work with or use in my work, they have their own type of training. So like Splunk will have their training. If my coworkers have been to Splunk comps or taken workshops, I'm like, hey, can I have that material? So using your direct network, your direct connections is a big one. I don't know. I like to watch Professor Messer when I have to get a certification or want to, get a certification in that way, because I feel like he's very good at covering the basics. I've printed out his workbooks and stuff. I'm big on I'm a paper person. I like to highlight and take notes.
I was just showing someone one of his cheat sheets yesterday. The nice laminated cheat sheets I have.
Yeah.
So me too.
Yeah. So I just say use what you can. Google free, blah, 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 and someone will have it posted somewhere for free. And whether or not your morals will allow you to use the free stuff, that's on you. But for me, I'm gonna take it.
Okay. Thank you. What about you, Jordan? What are some things that you do when you're like, okay, let me get sharp in something else or this new topic? Where do you go?
I'm a big believer in prayer and meditation, learning through osmosis.
I'm asleep on this book.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I like to use, so it depends, right? I get inspired to learn things in different ways. Like when I was in grad school, I was in a cloud class. AWS came up a lot. GCP came up a lot. That's when I was like, okay, I need to learn stuff about cloud. And I started digging into the best way to train for cloud. So I started going to the AWS website, GCP website, started using a cloud guru, Linux Academy, stuff like that. If I'm reading an article, it's just about how I get inspired. I might see something and go, oh, I want to learn about this. And then I'll just dig into like what would be the best avenue to explore. But I'm really big into anything that's hands-on. So a cloud guru, Linux Academy, setting up my own labs based on whatever tidbits of information I've already pulled, stuff like that. So in the end, though, it all comes back to I need to put my hands on it in some way, shape, or form.
I think to that, another thing I wanted to mention as like a good resource is capture the flags.
Yeah.
I have learned so much about a tool, so much about, a certain mindset just from participating in capture the flags. I may not win and that's fine, but I'm winning because I'm learning,
Absolutely.
that's definitely taught me a lot.
Have you done Boss of the Sock?
Maybe my
Splunk
first
one.
year. Oh no, not the Splunk one. Splunk is scary.
God, look, let me tell you about Boss of the Sock, my first Boss of the Sock. So they were like, you can sign up with teams. And I was like, okay, cool. So they, this is a messed up story, but I don't care. I'm competitive, yo. So they put me on a team with this guy who didn't know Splunk. And I am so sorry. I hope people don't judge me for this, but they were like, you get docked for every wrong point. And this dude didn't know anything about Splunk. So I was like, I messaged the people who like came up with the competition. I said, I want to be on a team by myself.
But it gets better. The story gets better.
So I ended up on a team by myself, and I was going up against like big teams, right? Yo, I dusted the block. Like I dusted everybody in that competition. But yeah, I was like, I felt really bad. And the guy they put on my team like was also my coworker.
See, I'm that coworker. That's why I don't compete because like up until recently, everybody on my team has been super Splunk savvy. We've had a bunch of like Splunk gurus. And so they compete in that. And they're like, do you want to do it this year? I'm like, I'm gonna bring us down. I think I'll just watch, like.
Yeah, I felt bad, but also like I wanted to win so bad. Like,
like don't put me with this bomb.
He was a super nice guy, but he was brand new, and I was like, I know I could win this. Like, this has my name all over it. I'm sorry. Like, I took a L, but I took a L in terms of being a nice person, but I took a W in the competition.
Look, you can put that on your resume.
So yeah. Anyways, I was curious, but yeah, capture the flags are dope. Are there any other ones like capture the flags that you know about?
I compete in the Exabeam capture the flags. I don't know how widely marketed they are. I get them in my inbox, so then I'll forward those out to my team, and I'm like, hey, just so you know, there's this capture the flag event going on, and I think they host those maybe like twice a year. There was one this past week. So I like using Exabeam. I don't use it at work, but I like the capture the flags because again, it's just enabling me to learn about that specific product, which is always good because, if you have to look for a new job and they're like, we want someone who's savvy in this. And that's another thing where I know I could speak confidently on that product. There's also a website I can send y'all. I think it's like ctfs.com or something like that. But a lot of those are focused more like high school and college level, which is all fair, right? I think those types of like people are going to need that experience a bit more than professionals. But yeah, I just kind of, whenever they slide into my DMs, I'm like, I'll do it.
That's a good
I do want to get a team. I want to get a team together though, where we regularly do CTFs. So if y'all know of some or you want to be on a team, let me know. I'm here for it.
If it's Splunk, I'll do it.
It's okay.
Yeah, I trust you because you've been doing stuff for 5 years. Yeah.
I was under the desk crying yesterday over Splunk. Don't trust me.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. All right, so we have to ask for new people who are interested in transitioning into the IT, cybersecurity, technology space, what sort of advice would you give to them?
Be willing to fail, maybe. I'm trying to think of better advice than that.
I mean, that's good advice. To be honest, like in
And
TikTok.
be like, be willing to be willing to fail. Be honest on your resume. Be transparent during your interviews. Like, advertise your soft skills, because technical skills can be learned. They can be
Mm-hmm.
taught. But being honest about what you can and cannot do is going to be so much more appreciated by people on your team and your interviewers than pretending you know everything.
So another question, it's a newer question we started to ask people now, but I feel like it's a good and an important question. So considering burnout being very, very common in our industry, respectively, considering that being common, like what do you do to stay grounded?
Have hobbies outside of tech. I think it's very common where in our field, cybersecurity is their personality. They're like, oh, I got a home lab. I do it 20 hours a day on the weekends. Like that's not me. That's not me. I need to get my feet dirty outside, and I think getting outside, be able to close your laptop, turn your phone off, like just that digital disconnect is super important for me on, not having, preventing burnout.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We actually do that every Friday night. Tiffany and I, after like 5 o'clock, not 4, after 5 o'clock.
If my manager's watching.
After 5 o'clock, we are away from our devices for the rest of Friday. Like it's just time for, us to like hang out and, be a little bit disconnected as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with that. What are your hobbies besides jujitsu?
I do rock climbing. So I do indoor and outdoor rock climbing. My daughter's into it too. We go climbing. When it's warmer out, I probably do like 1 or 2 outdoor trips a month. I do compete in some competitions for climbing. Yeah, they have like outdoor bouldering competitions. I'm all about that. Like I've definitely had some like cuts and bruises and all that, some very scary falls. So it's not always the safest sport, but it's just something I love. It gets me outside, gets that fresh air, and when you're in the woods, guess what? You can't get a phone call. So totally disconnected. I like camping, hiking, things like that.
Okay, right on. True outdoors. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I had no, like, you're dope. I'm trying to be your friend. Anyway, okay.
What do y'all do? What do y'all do to disconnect? Hobbies outside of cyber?
Boxing, jujitsu, just generally like working out. Yeah.
I skate.
Skate?
I skate.
Like roller skate?
So I rollerblade, I roller skate. Yes, I skate. I have fallen a lot, but I could do a couple of tricks.
She skate dances. She doesn't skate. like when you think about skating, you're like, oh, okay, like skate. No, she like does the skate dancing thing. Like she's in a City Girls video.
Oh yeah, no. I was picturing, like some skating rinks will have like 80s disco night. That's what I was picturing.
Yes, that is what I do. I had a schedule, but now the school is happening. I don't have that same schedule. But yes, like people are in the club on Saturday night. On Sunday nights, I'm out skating until midnight. So
heck yeah. Do you do like roller derby? Have you ever thought of roller derby?
No. What?
I love watching it.
I watched it. I wanted us to go watch a roller derby competition, but me, no.
Dude, she can hardly watch flag football because someone might fall down. Like, stop it.
And then imagine that I spent half of my life in the Army, but no, I don't want to do anything that means I'm gonna get hurt. So I'll watch.
Yeah. She also tried jujitsu once and then decided it was too dirty. So.
Yeah. I have a problem touching other. Like I don't like being close to people. And the instructor, she gave me a partner, and she's like, "All right, now get on top of her and mount." And I was like, "Oh." And then like we were watching some of the like matches between the more experienced people, and I like at one point someone's foot was right here in someone's face, and I was like, "Oh, could it be me?" Like I hate it.
Well, on that note,
once was enough.
I think we can wrap it up here. All right. So before we close it out, are there any like projects or any shout outs you wanna throw in there?
Shout out to my mama. No, I will call out again the daily cyber threat brief. I think has been a really, really great thing for me to just kind of stay current. But that's kind of my shout out. I'm not working on any projects. I did just wrap up a cloud computing like certificate. So I'm kind of laying low for a little bit now just to kind of recoup that mental energy. So
Yeah, right on. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you for taking
of
the
course,
time.
thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it because I know you're super busy. I know you got the Olympics coming up for your little one, so you're preparing for that too. So yeah, we definitely just appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So Tiffany, do you want to go ahead and officially close it out for our listeners? What?
Sure. Thank you for being a part of the Stats on Stats podcast with us today, listening, joining in, showing your support. Any resources we have, we'll get those posted for you. Would you like to share your LinkedIn for our listeners?
Absolutely. I'm
Awesome.
down to connect with people. You can find me, Natesha Harned. I don't use any odd names. I don't have an alias. Just look me up and let me know that you saw Stats on Stats, and I'll connect.
Awesome.
That's
Thank
dope.
you so much.
Hey. Well, we appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Rooting for your daughter to win gold in Russia. Is that where the next one?
To anybody listening, I don't affiliate with that. My coworkers thought I was Russian when I first got hired.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, because my name,
I didn't even know Anthony was Hispanic, so that just shows like how how tapped into that I am. But yes, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.